people in Toronto's pets' heads are falling off here, and it's a mess. I just wanted to know. I wanted to know what your assessment of the whole.
Yeah, they are. California.
They got with a Samsonite, with a giant Samsonite luggage.
Mary Swanson.
Yeah, I have noticed. There's something going on in Toronto.
It's not good.
They had
what do you think of it?
A nice
what do you
little.
make of it?
They had a nice little comeback, and then this homestand has not been their friend. You know what? I just think, I think they're poorly constructed. Frankly, they're not that talented. They're not the high-flying Maple Leafs of, 2, 3, 4 years ago. They're now a meat and potatoes. They've got to do everything right to win hockey games, and I don't think a few of those players want to play that way. They like the old style, and where they could run and gun and maybe win a game 6-5. But in their current iteration, if they don't have things go their way, if they don't play well defensively, if their goalies don't make key saves at the right times, they struggle.
So the follow-up to that is, if someone asked for your professional opinion on how to proceed moving forward, what would your answer be?
In my opinion, I would take it to the studs.
Really?
In my opinion, if you're gonna rebuild, I mean, with everything that has gone on there, let's take the whole landscape and everything that's gone on. Let's just use the last calendar year. The whole Marner thing, the Nylander thing, all of everything that's kind of gone on, and then what they've put into place after Marner. They've got some good pieces. I'm not saying they don't have some good pieces, but they're missing a lot. And how do they fit that in under the cap? How do they get those assets? They need to rebuild with assets. I don't think they need to get rid of every single player, but one of those big guys has to go, in my opinion. It's not working. And if you trade one of those big guys, you should be able to get enough assets back and then move out a couple of guys off the back end, get a fresh start for whether it's Morgan Riley. That's clearly not working now. Mm-hmm. And he's been there a long time. That's a long time to play in Toronto, 13 years.
Yeah, a long time.
It's a lot of scrutiny. And he's been there through the super lean years, and now through the rise and the peaking, and they didn't get it done. And now, listen, I got traded 4 times. O-Dog's been traded. Noodle's been moved around. Like, sometimes change is good. Playing in the same place is not for everybody. I think personally, for my career, having moved as many times as I did, it made me a better player. It made me appreciate the good times. It allowed me to utilize the failures and the tough moments, so that when I was put in that situation in a new market, I could look back and rely on the scar tissue and the grit that I needed to form to get through difficult times. And a lot of the heartache early in my career helped me get to where I was later in my career. And I think for a lot of these guys, and I think for fans in general, failure is just looked at as that. It's, we lost, we failed, the world is falling. And as athletes, we're used to failing. You don't want to get used to losing. You need to use that failing as an opportunity to grow, to get better. And I'm not sure they're doing that anymore there.
So how much of this then is like an exorcism of the past year? Like you just said, when you consider what's happened in the last last decade, I guess, with Matthews and Nylander and Shanahan and Babcock and Keefe and Dubas, and the fact that they only won 2 rounds and they just, they melted. And the biggest game, the most defining moment of all of that would be Game 7 against Florida last year, which was just a disaster, an absolute disaster. So how much of that, what you're saying, Prongs, beyond the actual X's and O's of building a roster and, what maybe needs to happen here in terms of the depth and how long that could take, and we'll get to that momentarily. But if you're running the operation, how much of that is that pitch, not only internally but externally as well with your fans? Like, we just need an exorcism here. it has to feel and look different because we tried it for 9, 10 years and it didn't work. And continuing down this path, there's always going to be that feeling like, okay, it could happen again because we've seen it for so long.
Yeah, and I guess I would just caution. You've gone through it one time, and this tank for Matthews and all this stuff. Like, it is not pretty, and it doesn't always work out as you think it through. There's a lot of luck now in the draft. There's a lot of luck in these draft picks developing into who you think they're going to become. Buffalo's on year 14. Now it looks like it's working. Taking a long time, and so I talk to people in Philly. Like, it's not easy. Like, you luck out. They lucked out. They got Matthews. They lucked out. They get Marner. And he turned out great. And you go through that list. They got Nylander 10th overall, I think it was. Like,
8th, yeah.
8th, yeah.
Yep.
8th. So you get some of these guys like in these positions where if you're not picking 1 or 2, you might not get those players. And they were fortunate enough they got Marner 4 and Nylander 8. Like, those guys aren't always there. Riley was 5th, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So
Yep.
it is hard, A, to develop, and B, to get players to get to their ceiling, whatever that is. And, we can sit here and talk about, well, the cap's going up and we can spend more money and we can do all these things. But if you can't find the actual player to fill that hole, and then you spend the money on just spending the money, thinking you're going to get better, I think you have to be more strategic. They had an opportunity with Marner's money. They had to give some of it to Nyes, and instead they spent the rest of it on 3 or 4 players. Instead of going and getting a top 6, they get bottom 6 players and retool their bottom 6, which, by all accounts, hasn't really worked out. And it was a measured guess, I would assume, that if they strengthened their bottom 6, they would be a better team. And I think they've been searching for a replacement for Marner, and now they haven't been able to find one.
Earlier, when you asked about where the Leafs are at or what they should do, you said, take it down to the studs. Let's say the conclusion is Matthews is in for the long haul, wants to remain a Leaf, be a Leaf for life, and the Leafs are like, we want to work with you. We want you here too. So if that's the case, Matthews is here. How much value does that have, in your opinion, around the league? What do the Leafs represent? Because, 6-7 years ago, this was the hot spot. You had all these free agents. Yeah. We got to get up there because these guys, they're going to win. Now we know the answer. They didn't. Much like Edmonton recently and, Colorado probably. It's like we got to play with these guys because look what they've got and look where it's going. The pitch the Leafs can make today, presuming Matthews is a part of the program moving forward, how much value do you think that still holds around the league?
I think it still has some value to it. You keep Nyes. There's a good base of players that they can keep around. You've got Joseph Woll, you've got Matthews, Nyes, a couple of young guys, Cowan. Outside of that, you've got Tavares now, 3 more years, I think.
Yeah.
You've got a 1-2. I would like to see Tavares in the 3 hole. I think he would get better matchups and be positioned better long term if he could play in the 3 slot. But I think there's an opportunity to make it a little bit quicker because you already have those pieces. There's a lot of teams that start from 0, and it takes a long time. I think for them, they need to rebuild their back end. Their defense core is older, slower. They need some fresh young guys back there. I just came from doing the Edmonton Anaheim game on Monday. Looking at Lacombe and Zellweger, and even Bouchard and what he's kind of turned his season around the last couple months with how he's played, and just seeing how well they move back there, the way they transition the puck, the way they skate. Not only are they entertaining, but they're really good hockey players.